Junichi Tachibana eagerly awaits the arrival of the girl who had agreed to go on a date with him on a chilly Christmas Eve. He waits and waits and waits until he finally realizes that he has been duped. 2 years have passed, and Junichi, a second-year high school student, is still upset about his date's absence from that particular date. Junichi is currently huddled up in his closet planetarium. Mia Tachibana, his sister, has to exert extra effort to get Junichi ready for class. Mia recognizes her friend as the two siblings walk to school together, leaving her brother by himself. But not for long, because Masayoshi Yumehara, Junichi's childhood best friend, shows up and makes fun of him about Mia, although he is aware she is his sister. Masayoshi is chatting with Junichi about his new racy photo collection of Japanese idols as they stroll side by side. Masayoshi notices Haruka Morishima in front of them as they move along. In their school, Haruka is a very well-liked senior, and for good reason. She is so breathtakingly beautiful that Junichi and Masayoshi can't help but stare and be in awe. She is also fairly well known among the guys. Masayoshi mentions that she recently rejected a student from their class. Later, as they are talking about preparing for the annual school festival, Junichi notices how diligent their class representative, Tsukasa Ayatsuji, is. The boy blushes as Tsukasa casts a glance his way as he muses over this. During lunch, Junichi loses a game of rock, paper, scissors to Masayoshi and Kaoru Tanamachi, another of his childhood friends. As a result, he is forced to buy bread for the group of 3. When Junichi enters the cafeteria, it has already become a battleground with students shouting commands. When he sees a freshman having trouble, he asks her what she needs and immediately gets her food. Haruka observes this interaction from a distance, making the lovely girl smile. A stray piece of plastic causes Junichi to trip on his way back to his classroom, scattering the bread he just bought. Haruka surprises him by showing up to assist him. After observing the boy's bag of bread, she affectionately refers to him as Big Appetite Cunt. The senior with the blue eyes even touched Junichi's face and complimented him on his adorable eyes. Haruka says Junichi is a nice guy for helping the freshman earlier before heading her way. After this exchange, the boy can't help but go into a trance. Even his childhood friend Rihoko Sakurai has to repeatedly draw his attention to get a response. After school, Junichi regrets keeping Tsukasa waiting and apologizes to her. Tsukasa is in charge of gathering her classmates' guidance forms, and Junichi is the last to turn in his. However, the girl gives him a sweet smile and tells him it's no problem. When Junichi finds out from Tsukasa that Masayoshi is in the library, he searches the area for him but instead runs into Haruka. Despite falling to the ground and dropping her books, the girl is happy to see Junichi. Naturally, the boy is delighted to help her carry her collection of puppy photo books. They come across Haruka's friend Hibiki Tsukahara as they are moving down the hallway, and she immediately requests that she thank Junichi for his assistance. Haruka acknowledges that she still doesn't know the boy's name, though. Hibiki reprimands her for this, but Haruka knows she can trust her friend because she thinks he's genuinely nice. Even though Junichi is aware that Haruka is way out of his league, he can't help but be drawn to her. He wants to rediscover the feelings he lost 2 years ago. Even though the odds are stacked against him, Junichi is still determined to find Haruka days after his encounter with her. But the young boy never imagined that while playing leapfrog, of all things, he would run into Haruka again. His strength fails and he falls flat on his face as Haruka gleefully straddles him. On the school's grounds, Junichi and Haruka take a stroll together before running into Mia. When he introduces Haruka to his sister, Mia behaves strangely and almost immediately makes an excuse to leave. Despite this, Haruka thinks Mia is adorable and says the two of them should go shopping and take baths. Junichi's imagination is running riot over this. Who is to blame for him? After school, Junichi confronts Mia and inquires as to the reason behind her earlier attitude. But he doesn't succeed because she just storms off infuriated. Well, Junichi can't do much about that. He sees Haruka sitting by the fountain, as ethereally beautiful as ever as he leaves the school. Junichi approaches the girl and gives her a disposable hand warmer after noticing that she is sneezing. Haruka thanks him and then remarks on how much she enjoys looking at water, including the ocean, rivers, and this fountain. Junichi struggles to get out an honest confession as he watches her hold the hand warmer up to her face. He begins by speaking quietly about his emotions before repeating them louder. Haruka is taken aback by this abrupt admission. Even though she is delighted that Junichi likes her, she rejects the boy, claiming she would rather date an adult who is trustworthy and older. Haruka extends her gratitude to Junichi once more for the hand warmer before letting him reflect. Junichi finds it hard to believe he just admitted his feelings. Junichi walks home dejectedly as the painful reality dawns on him, locking himself inside his closet as soon as he gets there. Everyone who runs into Junichi the following morning remarks how terrible he looks. After Haruka's open rejection, the poor guy was unable to get a wink of sleep. Observing Junichi's dire condition, Tsukasa advises him to take a short nap at the hospital. The boy accepts gladly, but as soon as he spots Haruka dozing on one of the beds, his heart begins to race. The girl awakens abruptly and is shocked to see Junichi. Despite having just rejected him yesterday, she shocks him by acting like her usual self. When Junichi brings up this subject, Haruka expresses regret for being impolite and disregarding his feelings. However, the boy does want to keep getting along with her. Haruka is delighted by this, and they shake hands to signify their continued friendship. Junichi queries Haruka about her additional criteria for a man before she departs. She pauses to consider before jotting down 3 qualities: leadership, charisma, and toughness. When Junichi returns to class, his complete personality change freaks out his friends. With Haruka still available for conversation, the boy simply cannot help but be happy. They might get even closer after all. He runs home as he is energized by this thought. The following day, Junichi decides to try pro wrestling to develop all 3 of the qualities Haruka mentioned. Even though Masayoshi doesn't comprehend Junichi's sudden motivation, he still lends a hand to his best friend. Haruka notices the wrestlers in the gym and asks to join them. When Haruka promises to use the wrestling move known as an octopus hold on them, the guys at first hesitate but quickly accept her invitation to a fair fight. Of course, who wouldn't want to engage Ms. Popular in an octopus hold? Hibiki shows up to ruin the fun just as Junichi and Haruka are about to start fighting. Despite having to postpone their wrestling match, the boys are still in luck because Haruka asks them to walk home together. As they proceed, Junichi observes how everyone is staring at them because of the stunning senior who is present. Then, he finds out from Masayoshi that Haruka used to join club after club, which is how she became so well known. Normally, after dropping out of a club, people leave. The friendly senior's charm, however, comes from her continued ability to get along with her former clubmates. When the girls overhear them, Hibiki adds another justification for why Haruka is so well liked. She mentions how Haruka recently received simultaneous confessions from the most popular boys in both her junior and senior years. To reject them, she had to run all over the campus. Junichi is relieved to hear that Haruka rejected them, but he isn't ready to hear the girl say that she will probably reject anyone who attempts to confess to her once more. At that point, the emotions he had been holding onto all day quickly disintegrated. The following day, Junichi appears awful once more and doesn't even bother to speak to his worried sister. But as Haruka gets closer, a smile appears on Junichi's face. Mia, in contrast, shies away from the senior's touch and leaves the two alone. Following his sister, Junichi apologizes to Haruka. As he approaches Mia, he reprimands her for being impolite. Mia can't help but be angry even though she is aware that Haruka is being kind to her because the attractive girl is so good at catching Junichi's eye. Even though Junichi wouldn't speak to his sister, he couldn't stop smiling after seeing Haruka. She sprays her brother with water as a result of her exploding resentment. Junichi is unfortunate enough to arrive at class completely wet. Junichi has been gazing out the window during class until Kaoru throws a piece of paper at him. Junichi responds by throwing back her crumpled doodle, and the two end up engaging in a paper ball fight. This enraged the teacher, who assigns them cleaning duty as a punishment. Unfortunately, Junichi is forced to handle it alone because Kaoru claims to have a part-time job. Haruka approaches Junichi as he is carrying a trash can and asks if he has a swimsuit she can borrow. Of course, he lacks one. Why did Haruka even imagine that he would? She then requests to use Mia's swimsuit, but Junichi recognizes from looking at her body type that it would not fit her. Haruka's sudden love of swimming is inspired by watching the swim club members practice. Haruka drags Junichi along after realizing she can just ask one of the club girls for their typical school swimsuit. The outgoing girl has no trouble getting what she wants, leaving Junichi to change. Being a guy in a room full of girls makes Junichi seem out of place. A swim club member approaches him and demands to know why he is even in the area. Haruka introduces Junichi to freshman AI Nanasaki before he is expelled. Haruka regrettably misses the opportunity to go swimming because Hibiki will soon be there. Hibiki must expel outsiders from the swim club as its leader, even if one of them is a close friend. As she and Junichi move down the hallway, Haruka mopes. Junichi suggests they visit the library to peruse puppy photo albums to cheer her up. Haruka is overjoyed by his enthusiasm for guiding her to albums she hasn't previously browsed through. When Junichi spots Rihoko looking for new books, she immediately covers the book she's reading. Junichi does not need to look at the cover to understand that it is a diet book. Since middle school, he has seen Rihoko make countless attempts to lose weight because she is one of his childhood friends. If you ask the boy, he believes Rihoko doesn't need to be that concerned about it. When Junichi comes back, she discovers the senior girl soundly dozing. He covers Haruka with his coat so as not to wake her, then moves to the other side of the table and waits for her to awaken. When the girl wakes up from her nap, the sun has nearly set. The two teenagers are at a loss for words after Haruka expresses gratitude to Junichi for the thoughtful gift of the coat until she notices the books. They are all albums she has never seen, which makes her happy. Haruka is deeply immersed in a book when Junichi decides to confess once more. The girl is taken aback, but the man who is courting her explains how much fun he is having because he feels like he can talk to her about anything. Although Junichi's action is unexpected, Haruka doesn't believe he should apologize. She can't figure out why the boy is still so determined despite being rejected once, though. But Junichi doesn't want to give up while he still has a chance. Haruka is alarmed by how hard he is trying. She believes she won't be able to refuse him if he is that devoted. Haruka suddenly leans in to give Junichi a tender kiss on the forehead, surprising him. The girl couldn't help but give his furrowed, determined eyebrows a nice peck because she thought they were so adorable. On that note, Haruka leaves Junichi, who is grinning and just gazing at the sky in the late afternoon. Episode 3 the following day, Junichi is brimming with enthusiasm for both academics and athletics, as though love has given him a fresh outlook on life. However, Junichi's friends do wonder if he suddenly caught a disease. Even their homeroom teacher, Ms. Maya Takahashi, claims that during lunch she observed Junichi's sudden enthusiasm in class. Ms. Takahashi speculates that it's because Junichi's romantic life experienced a remarkable event. Of course, just yesterday, Junichi received a kiss on the forehead from the girl of his dreams. As soon as Kaoru and her friend Keiko Tanaka arrive, Kaoru begins to tease Junichi mercilessly. Before she can stop herself, Haruka drags Junichi along by the cuff of his uniform after she notices the exchange. Junichi is shocked to see that the lovely senior is envious. The blue-eyed girl gets flustered when she realizes that the topic of conversation was about Junichi getting closer to her. This gives Junichi the confidence to request another forehead kiss from Haruka. But no, his eyebrows don't look cute right now, so we'll pass for the time being. And since she's already kissed him, Haruka believes Junichi should do the same. She'll have to make him work for it, though. Junichi must locate a location where no one can see them and where they cannot run into any other people. Haruka won't let him kiss her until she does. The tenacious high school student then leads the girl of his dreams up to the building's fence. As Junichi asks Haruka to enter the enclosure through a hole, pure excitement courses through his veins. Within a short distance of the school's grounds, they arrive at a remote watershed. Haruka congratulates Junichi on making a wise location decision. Junichi is giddy with excitement as they walk into the shed, which is surprisingly spacious. His lips purse as he advances, aiming for Haruka's face. The girl informs him that kissing her lips is forbidden, so he is unable to sneak one. He'll have to pick a different location. She wants him to pick a surprising location to make it exciting. The boy will forfeit his chance to kiss her if they go someplace obvious. Junichi thinks hard. Unexpectedly where? It dawns on him when he sees the pictures from Haruka's puppy books. He'll kiss her behind the knees. After all, Haruka had earlier remarked that the boy resembled a puppy panting for her lips, and perhaps by doing this, they will discover why dogs enjoy licking their master's knees. Haruka gladly agrees because she is unable to refute his logic. Haruka blushes and exposes the back of her knees. When Junichi kisses her, she yells in shock. But he doesn't stop after just one kiss. He repeatedly strikes the blue-eyed girl, tickling her. Junichi moves the kiss upward to more delicate areas as he gains confidence. When Haruka stops him, the man obeys his master's order to sit by barking like a puppy. Junichi is ecstatic about the experience and leans back against the shed walls, so much so that it appears he forgot to consider why dogs lick the backs of their master's knees in the middle of the sentence. But he assures Haruka that once he discovers the answer, he will inform her. The girl decides it is enough, and they return for lunch after hearing that. Later that evening, Mia begins to worry about Junichi because of his constant smiles. He only wants to kiss Haruka's knees one more time. That's all. He only needs to do it once more to be satisfied. The following day, Junichi spends a lot of time pleading with the girl for them to kiss once more, but to no avail. Later that night, a distraught Haruka dials Hibiki, asking what she should do about her puppy, much to her friend's amusement, before realizing she's referring to a person. And as to be expected, Junichi is already known to Hibiki. She thus counsels Haruka to indulge in the boy's opulence. Everything is fine. Haruka mulls over Hibiki's words, blushing as she recalls how Junichi's smooch tickled and even lets out a little meow. The following day, during lunch, Haruka tries the meow meow attack, and it works great. Junichi is a fan. The girl feels revived after hearing his enthusiastic response. They then head to the cafeteria to grab a bite to eat. But Haruka declares that she is tired of everything on the menu and is craving something novel. Junichi agrees to the challenge and promises to make Haruka a delicious meal. After a short while, Junichi brings Haruka a bowl of ramen. When she asks Junichi what's so exciting about plain old noodles, he responds that the situation will be more exciting than the food. Junichi asks Haruka to use her imagination as he paints the picture of her as having just been abducted with her arms bound behind her back. Haruka is excited by this and urges the boy to continue. The girl hasn't eaten in 2 days, and even though she has a meal in front of her, she is unable to eat because her hands are restrained. One of the kidnappers, Junichi, enters the picture at this point. To feed Haruka, he is here. Because Haruka's enthusiasm is out of character for Junichi, the blue-eyed senior asks him to take this more seriously. As the good boy that he is, Junichi embraces his part in the narrative, giving Haruka food while deepening his voice. He forces her to slurp the soup, and some of it drips from her mouth's corner. People in their immediate vicinity are compelled to observe as they continue their roleplay. When Hibiki and AI finally come across them, the captain advises them to leave them alone because Haruka is letting Junichi spoil her. Later that evening, Haruka exclaims with joy, she had a great time today. Even though it took 2 years, Junichi's romantic prospects are still hopeful. The girl who can make his Christmas happier than the one he had after being stood up might just be Haruka. For more anime recap, click here to subscribe and watch more. Thanks for watching.